looking at question 13, we have to remember that the first index law deals with bases or with numbers of the same base, numbers and powers of the same base. So we keep the base, add the powers. If it's not the same base, then you multiply them as we did earlier. Keep base, add powers. It's if they're the same base. Same base. Therefore, in question 13, we're looking at some that don't have it. So a squared times h cubed is a simple multiplying question as in earlier, so it becomes a squared h cubed. Now you simplify because you take it from two terms down to one term, so you've simplified it. So part B, 6x to the fourth times 2y to the fifth. Therefore, not the same base, but we can multiply the coefficients. Any numerals can be multiplied, so therefore 6 times 2 is 12. We have 12x to the fourth, y to the fifth. So we haven't kept the base and added the powers because we haven't got the same base, but we have multiplied the coefficients, the 6 and the 2, and we've multiplied as we did earlier before we did indices. But then C, 4t cubed times 5b to the 8th becomes 20, 4 times 5, 20 times b to the 8th t cubed. Pretty straightforward. So let's have a look at part G, which is a to the 5th, b to the 4th. Times a to the 3rd, b squared. In this instance, we have got similar. So we've got a to the 5th, a to the 5 plus 3, times b to the 4 plus 2, b to the 4th plus squared. So then we've got a to the 8th times b, we don't use the multiplying sign, b to the 6th. So we've got a to the 8th, b to the 6th, and that's given us a fairly straightforward one, not the same base. Where we have a's at the same base, we've added the powers. Where we had b as the same base, we've added the powers, and then it's a to the 8th, b to the 6th. It's pretty straightforward. So let's have a look at I, which has got, again, it's got the coefficients and some same base, others not the same base. So let's write it out. 9w to the 4th, 9w to the 4th, x to the 3rd or x to the 8th? X to the 8th, I think. X to the 8th, unless I'm getting old and can't see. Come on. X to the 8th times 6x to the 5th, y to the 4th. 6x to the 5th, y to the 4th. So we can see where the coefficients are and where the same bases are. So 9 6s becomes 54, because I know my tables. 9 6s 54. Right, w, there's no other w there, so that stays the same. So it's w to the 4th. And notice that comes before x and y. Then x to the 8th times x to the 5th. 8 plus 5 becomes x to the 13th. Let's just rub out some extraneous stuff we've got there. Go back to our pen. So it's x to the 13th. And then y to the 4th. So where we've got where we can multiply, we've multiplied the coefficients, and then we have, where we haven't got the same base, you can't add the powers, you can just multiply them as you can any variable or a pronumeral, and w to the 4th, x to the 13th, because we've added x to the 8th and x to the 5th, and then y to the 4th. So we can see it's a mixture of both first index law and multiplying powers and multiplying non-like terms, which we can do. And that's a mixture of both. You should be able to do that, and they will become more intricate, a little bit harder and more in-depth as we go along. Okay?